Hi everybody, welcome to week 4 of your evidence-based practice course. I'm coming to you from Oregon today. My husband and I are driving around the state. So, thanks for your really engaged discussion within the week 3 DQs. I know they were slightly dry topics, so I appreciate your participation there. And I'm really looking forward to reading your week 3 papers and seeing what you were able to find as far as evidence in the literature. Remember, your rapid appraisal checklist and your summary or evaluation table will not be submitted until you turn in your final complete proposal. So at that time, you will be turning in the evaluation table, and then for each evidence article that you're using, you need an appraisal checklist. So that'll be turned in also. I think I've spoken with everyone who was struggling with their PICO question, but if you're still having problems, don't hesitate to reach out to me. If you just text me, we can plan a time to talk. I'm very available this week. So remember, my cell number is 801-577-4100. Shoot me a text, and then we can set up a time to talk if you need, okay? All right, so for this week's discussion questions, we're dealing with more practical topics. So first, we'll be discussing barriers to implementing EBP. And you started looking at these with your organizational readiness survey in section A. And as you progress through the course, you'll be looking at these more closely for your own organization that you'll be using. For the discussion question, we're really looking at barriers in general, kind of in any organization. And I think there still are quite a few of those, so hopefully we'll have some good discussion on that this week. The second DQ deals with protection of human rights during research. If you have human subjects, particularly if they're in vulnerable groups, there are many hoops that you need to jump through to proceed with research when you're using especially those vulnerable groups. And this definitely is in response to past atrocities that have been committed during research studies. So now we've got much more protections in place, and so hopefully we can have a good discussion about that this week. So this week's paper is section D, and it deals with providing more information about the I in your PICO question, the intervention, the new practice that you want to propose, okay? So this paper has a word count of 500 to 750 words. So while you need to address each of the areas in the directions, you really need to just address the requirements and don't go off on a tangent or provide more material than is needed. So I'll try to discuss that as we kind of go through the assignment. So, nitty-gritty of the assignment. You will describe your intervention in just a few sentences. Then you will share how it is consistent with the evidence you have found. Now, I say just a few sentences because in the remaining papers, you're going to get down to, really step by step and a lot more detail. So you're really going to flesh out what you ended up as your final intervention in a few sentences. And remember, you'll cite those references, and then because you're going to have, 3 to 4, hopefully, good studies to back up your intervention, so you'll be citing those. And then you're going to discuss why it's realistic to implement this change of practice at this time in your institution. Why does it make sense to do it now? Is the organization capable of doing it now? Then you'll refer back to your organizational readiness survey and discuss how the EBP would be in line with the organization's culture and resources. Again, this should only take a few sentences, but so not too many words. So then you will again state your expected outcomes, and these should come directly from that PICO that you've now got kind of honed down. You'll then briefly discuss how those outcomes will be achieved. And this is more like a thumbnail sketch, as you will be writing a whole section of the proposal just on outcomes a little bit later. For now, you need to describe how the general process from implementation to outcomes will kind of flow. So kind of an overview. Be sure to address likely barriers and any assumptions or limitations. So these may be things like assuming the EBP will be approved by the research committee, or the need for general EBP education initially due to the low level of staff knowledge about EBP that you found in your readiness assessment. So those are what I'm talking about assumptions and limitations. Those are some examples. Finally, look at the directions in the assignment for the outcome impact area. So that gives you kind of a couple ideas of what areas is this really going to impact within the organization, and it kind of gives you a list. So please make sure that you correctly format your references. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. And so this paper is really trying to make you think very practically about exactly how this thing is going to flow in a very general way. And so hopefully that will work out for you. If you have questions, just contact me. So when you've analyzed your research articles, if you found that there really was not enough evidence to back up your intervention, your practice change, please contact me as soon as possible, and we'll figure out what modifications we need to make. Sometimes when you get into that paper where you're really analyzing the research, you find out a lot of people have talked about something but maybe not have studied it in depth, something like that. Don't worry, there's still time, it's okay. So just give me a call. And I think that's about it for this week, guys. Looking forward to seeing you again in the main forum.